Welcome to the Wednesday night service we have here at Temple Heights Baptist Church. Bienvenido al servicio que tenemos aquí en la Iglesia Bautista de Temple Heights. And we are going to begin with praise, singing the first, Emmanuel. Yes, Emmanuel.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday evening service in between Christmas and New Year's. That's always people are out and about traveling. And greetings to Puerto Rico. Rose, I got your message, so greetings and thank you for watching us. And whoever else is online, thank you for being with us as we worship the Lord and we look to His scriptures on this Wednesday. Let's open in prayer. Dear Father, we just praise you for today. We praise you for this opportunity to be together, Lord, on this Wednesday evening. And Lord, may you be glorified in all things, Lord. Be with those who are traveling, Lord, those who are celebrating Christmas activities with family and friends, Lord. And Lord, we're just grateful and thankful that they have those opportunities, Lord. Be with them, Lord. Be with their opportunities to share the best gift ever given, Lord. Lord, the birth of your Son. Lord, may you be with us now. Be with our singing. Be with me as I open your word in a few moments, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
And now we will sing the first Noel.
On a cold winter's night, that was
next song is Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. Let angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Se oyeron sonar de espera en los cielos, gloria a Dios. Al mortal paz en la tierra, canta la celeste voz. Con los cielos alabemos, al eterno Rey cantemos. A Jesús que es nuestro bien, con el coro de Belén. Canta la celeste voz, en los cielos, gloria a Dios. And you could stand up and greet each other.
That's kind of an immature.
Are we gonna sing it? Oh. Hail the hand-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, present healing in his wings. Multi-lays his glory by, born that men no more may die. Born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Príncipe de paz eterna, gloria a ti Jesús. Entregando al alma tierna, tú nos traes la vida y luz. A tu majestad dejado, y a buscarnos te has dignado, para darnos el vivir. A la muerte quieres ir. Canta la celeste voz, en los cielos, gloria a Dios. I really like that part at the end when it says, born that men no more may die, because that's why he came here for us, because he loved us, to give us second birth. Okay, and the next song is What Child Is This? What child is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping? Who made just grave with anthem sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping? This is Christ the King, whom shepherds
Thank you, Desiree. Thank you for all the wonderful singing. And Miss Chris, was that the last time we're singing Christmas carols this year? No. One more time. One more day. Sunday, Christmas carols. All right. We love the Christmas carols. And then it stops. Then it stops.
Unless you want to do Christmas in July.
Well, Ed likes to do Christmas anytime he feels like, so yeah.
Especially on Sunday night.
Before I forget, Brother Pincus is in the hospital. He's at St. Joseph's. I don't know all the reason. Christy seemed to indicate that she was hope he was in and out of the hospital. But if you want to go visit him, we'll have his room number, and Chris has his room number, so you can check that out with them. Just a quick stuff on Sunday. We have it's New Year's Eve. We'll have Sunday school, and then we'll have our combined service, and then Lord's Supper at the end of the service. So come on out for that. We won't have any evening service due to New Year's Eve activities, so you can enjoy your activities with your family and get off the road if you desire to get off the road, or get on the road if you desire to get on the road. It's always risky to be on the road on New Year's Eve, so be careful out there. And then we have New Year, so we start a whole new year, say goodbye to 2023. Anybody glad 2023 is over, or you're sad? It was a good year. And then on Tuesday, I don't have a slide for that yet, but Tuesday, the ladies are going to Olive Garden. Lori, you want to say anything about that?
Yes, at 12 o'clock at the Olive Garden on Bush.
Noon, Olive Garden on Bush.
Anyone that would like to join us, that would be wonderful. And Pastor is off, so I'll probably bring him to Our Ladies meeting. So if you want to bring,
Ooh.
if you want to bring someone else that's not a lady, that you're welcome to.
Brother Jackie will be starting his Saturday Bible study on January 13th. And so the second Saturday in January, we're starting up again there. That's also the same day as the men's meeting, that Saturday morning. So as we look forward to January and then getting to February, will be missions conference. So got a lot of work to do. Hopefully I can get a lot accomplished this week during the holidays. Anything else we need to remember? All right. Oh, let's ask the question. What was your favorite Christmas gift that you got on Christmas? Rosa, did you get any Christmas gifts? No? Another. Anybody want to say their Christmas gifts?
My best gift was everybody being home and not entertaining anybody else. It was just our family all day long. Immediate family.
So Lori said that her favorite gift was everybody home. I would agree with that. So then I got to ask, why did we have to do all those presents?
Because that's what keeps them home.
At some point we had laser guns, and so there's a laser gun fight, and then with all the lights out in the house. So that was pretty fun to watch.
Good thing my cat wasn't there.
It's a good thing your cat's not with us at all. Well, not my house at all.
Love to try some laser.
Anybody?
I'm sure we can come over and play at your house. if
Okay,
you
I
want
got
us.
a laser. Got one from Desiree and kids.
Okay.
What was your favorite Christmas, Chris?
Staying with family and friends.
Nice. Others? Anybody else? Kids? Any favorite gift you have? Oh, Teresa has a favorite gift.
I have a very nice family Tuesday and Sunday. My grandson and the friend, my niece, my nephew, everybody was in Tanya Cookies the whole day. And they give me a lot of presents. They give me cream, body cream, lipstick, eyeshadow, packable, shoes. I mean, and they blaze it. Look at that one.
Oh, what do you...
42.
Oh.
Made that for they're beautiful.
Teresa's holding up a bracelet. She enjoyed spending time with the family and cooking and
Oh, I didn't make them.
the kids are saying these adult gifts are very boring. Kids, did you have anything fun that you got? Anything you liked? All of them. He liked all the gifts he got. Well, that's very nice. Very nice. All right, we're in 1 Samuel 17, and we're talking about Goliath. Remember we talked about some characteristics of the Goliath and how tall he was? And the past couple weeks we had representation of how tall Goliath was compared to Miss Chris. Substantially taller than Miss Chris. Miss Chris, would you have run away or would you have approached Goliath? Oh, okay. She would have gone all out for Goliath. So we talked a little about that. But I have a video here. I think the kids would enjoy this. The tallest people living. And so we'll look at that. So the 5 tallest people in recorded history.
Top 5 tallest people in the world. Number 1, Robert Wadlow. Robert Pershing Wadlow, also known as the Alton Giant and the Giant of Illinois, was an American man who was the tallest person in recorded history. He was born on February 22, 1918, in Alton, Illinois, a small city near St. Louis, Missouri.
That's his dad next.
Wadlow's height was 8 feet 11.1 inches, 2.72 meters, while his weight reached 439 pounds, 199 kilograms. His great size and his continued growth in adulthood were due to hypertrophy of his pituitary gland, which results in an abnormally high level of human growth hormone, HGH. This resulted in his extraordinary growth and also affected his sensation and strength in his legs and feet. He had to wear special shoes and braces to support his body. He died at age 22 in July 15, 1940. Number 2, John Rogan. John William Bud Rogan, 1867 to 1905, was an American man who was recorded as the second tallest person ever, behind only Robert Wadlow. He was 8 feet 9 inches, 267 centimeters tall. Rogan is also the tallest African American in history. He was born in Hendersonville, Tennessee, USA, as the fourth of 12 children fathered by William Rogan, a former slave. At the age of 13, Bud experienced a rapid growth spurt owing to gigantism. His condition was such that he never stopped growing. As a result, he also developed a debilitating ankylosis that left him unable to walk or stand as his knee bones became fused together. In order to move around, Bud used a goat-drawn cart constructed from his own bed. Number 3, John Francis Carroll. John F. Carroll was an American man who was one of the tallest people in medical history. He was born in 1932 in Buffalo, New York, and was known as the Buffalo Giant or Big Red. He had a rare condition called acromegalic gigantism, which caused him to grow very fast and have a distorted spine. He reached a height of 8 feet 8 inches, 264 centimeters at his peak, but he could not stand straight because of his spinal curvature. He died in 1969 at the age of 37. Number 4, Väinö Millarin. Väinö Millarin was a Finnish man who was known for his extraordinary height. He was once the tallest living person in the world, and possibly the tallest ever after the death of Robert Wadlow. He was 247 to 251.4 centimeters, 8 feet 1.5 inches, 8 feet 3 inches tall, although the exact measurement varies. He was also very strong and had a handspan of 29 centimeters, 11.4 in, the largest ever recorded. Millarin was born in Helsinki, Finland, in 1909. He served in the Finnish army as a heavy artillery soldier and was 220 centimeters, 7 feet 3 inches tall at the age of 21. He had a second growth spurt in his late 30s and reached his final height. He died in Helsinki in 1963 and is buried in Järvenpää. Number 5, Sultan Kösen. Sultan Kösen is a Turkish farmer who holds the Guinness World Record for the tallest living male at 251 centimeters, 8 feet 2.82 inches. He was born on December 10, 1982, and his growth resulted from the conditions gigantism and acromegaly, caused by a tumor affecting his pituitary gland. Due to his condition, he uses crutches to walk. In 2009, Sultan Kösen became the first man over 8 feet to be measured by Guinness World Records for more than 20 years. In fact, Guinness World Records only knows of 10 confirmed or reliable cases in history reaching 8 feet or more. The part-time farmer from Turkey was found to be a towering 246.5 centimeters, 8 feet 1 inch in height, and he took the iconic title of tallest living man. 2 years later, the 26-year-old was measured again in Ankara, Turkey, by which time he had grown to a staggering 251 centimeters, 8 feet 2.8 inches.
So a little bit about some recent giants and how they grew to a staggering height of about 8 feet. Goliath is recorded as 9 cubits in 3 cubits in height. Anyway, totaling 9 feet 6 inches is what we think he's coming in at, 9 feet 6 inches. So taller than those that we see in the video there as being tall. But people do get, it's rare, but people do get tall. Not something you would want to hope for. You can see they have some physical ailments and things like that. Particularly myself, I don't like ceiling fans. So let's turn to 1 Samuel chapter 17. 1 Samuel chapter 17, well, just a quick review. We discussed some of the armor that he was wearing. And so 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 8, and he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine? And your servants to Saul, choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If you be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine says, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words from the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. And so here we have the description of Goliath and how tall he was, and the armor he was wearing, and the spear and the sword that he had. And then he gets out in the middle of the valley and shouts to the Israelites on one side of the mountain there and gives them this ultimatum, come fight, this offer to, instead of all of us fighting, let's just go man on man, mano a mano. Send out a man to fight me, and if that person wins against me, then all the Philistines will serve Israel. If Israel loses, then all of Israel will serve the Philistines. And so this is a request. Remember that fun couple we were watching as they were exploring the Valley of Elah, where this battle took place? Well, they ran a test in the valley to see if you could hear a person speak in the middle of the valley while others were on the ridge. And so here's a video of that.
Goal
couple.
for the day is to do the Goliath voice test. So I always wondered, how could Goliath's voice be carried, and how could the Israelites hear him if there's a valley in between them? And that's exactly what we're going to test right now. So Rhoda's going to go up to the mountain, and I'm going to be Goliath screaming from across the river.
This is so steep.
It is. Okay.
Ooh.
All right. Okay. And we're going to see if Rhoda will be able to hear me or not. I'm really looking forward to it. Are you excited? There we go. Come on. All right, we made it. So we're going to stay right here. You represent the Israelites. And I'm going to go down there.
Okay.
And be Goliath and see if you can hear me. Right.
Let's go.
All right.
Be careful. Be
Yeah.
careful. Easy, easy, easy.
All right. Just need to keep going. Just gonna cross the river right here. I'm almost there. Okay. So now let's see if Rhoda can hear me. Let's see if David can hear me. Let's see if the Israelites can hear me. Hello! Hello!
I hear you.
I hear you too!
I hear you perfectly.
Insane. I'm gonna go farther. Let's check.
He's going further now.
I'm going even farther because she can still hear me. Okay. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
That is so cool. Choose a man for yourself. Let him come down and fight me.
That's pretty cool. I hear him. He's much further now.
Let him come down and fight me.
That's how much I can hear him.
Okay, she could still hear me. Not even raise my voice that much. Let's go even farther. I mean, I'm in the middle of the valley now. Why have you come up?
Wow. That is incredible.
Okay, I'm just gonna cross the field, literally. This is insane. I'm just gonna cross the field.
Okay. It would be impossible to hear him from there.
All right, this is the last test. I'm like almost half across the field. Let's give this a try. Choose for yourself a man. Let him come down and fight me. Choose for yourself a man.
Oh my goodness. Choose for yourself a man.
I hear you.
That is incredible.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. I have goosebumps.
This is so incredible that he is so far down there.
I'm all the way across the field, and she can hear me.
But I hear him and there's that echo effect.
This is insane. I can hear her. That means they could even reply to Goliath. They could hear David and Saul fight. Wow. You're champion. If I can hear you, then you can hear me.
I heard everything.
That was so cool.
It is incredible, isn't it?
I had goosebumps because I didn't believe it's going to work
And
out.
the Israelites, this is a cliff line. They would be standing here and they would hear everything.
Everything. Think of the spectacle. These hills are full with Israelites all over the military. Saul's military, the army in camps, many camps. David crosses this creek and onto the fields in the valley to face Goliath. These incredible results are not something we expected to see when we first set out on this journey.
This was the coolest thing ever. You being down there and hearing you. This was awesome.
Every detail in the story of David and Goliath is proving to be possible. But these events...
We'll talk about the slingshot. They did a slingshot test. But we'll get to that when we in a little bit. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 17, starting in verse 12. Anybody need some handouts? All right, 1 Samuel chapter 17 and verse 12. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite, the Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. Now remember, in the previous chapters, we've already been introduced to David. We've already seen that David's been anointed by Samuel. We've already seen that Saul has called David to be to play the harp for Saul. And so now we're getting into the story of Goliath, of course. We've been introduced to Goliath, and so now we're being reintroduced to David. And we find out Jesse, his dad, had how many sons? 8 sons, and he is the youngest of those 8 sons. In verse 13, and the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle, and the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And so then we have the 3 oldest were in Saul's army, right? So the 3 oldest are here at the Valley of Elah. They're facing down the Philistines with the rest of the Israelite army, but 3 of Jesse's sons are in Saul's army. And we see their names there, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah. Verse 14, and David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. Remember, we've talked about how David was providing comfort for Saul, playing the harp. There was an evil spirit about Saul, and the only thing that helped Saul was the playing of this harp. And David was recommended by one of the servants of Saul, saying, we know of a man who plays the harp, and he's cunning, and he's smart. And so they brought David in, and Saul immediately fell in love with him, made him arm bearer, which means he was very close to Saul, kind of not an advisor, but very somebody who was there to help Saul out. And so he had asked Jesse if he could stay longer and to be able to be a part of Saul's court there. But now we find that David has returned back to Bethlehem to feed his father's sheep, to take care of the sheep. So David is not presently with Saul, even though he had been a little bit earlier. But now the battle is taking place, and David is not with Saul. Verse 16, and the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So Goliath is coming out. Apparently the armies had arrayed themselves, lined themselves up on that ridge there you saw in the video on each side, and Goliath comes out every morning and every evening shouting out this, send me out a man so we can fight, and shouts this every morning for the next 40 days. And so Goliath appeared morning and evening, particularly when the Shema, the recitation of some of the Hebrew text was done, to make sure that Israel realized, hey, your faith is being tested. So every morning and every evening, Goliath is out there challenging the Israelites, and he's doing that for 40 straight days. So how would you feel if someone's taunting you for 40 straight days? Yeah, it gets a little bit of unnerving, right? At some point, this is going to have to come to some sort of conclusion. Verse 17, and Jesse said unto David his son, take now of thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. So the news reaches Bethlehem, where Jesse is, where David is attending to the flocks, to his father's flocks. And we have here a map, a present-day map of, if you drive from Valley of Elah all the way to Bethlehem, we can see how far away it is, 90 miles distant. It's not like it's really close. 90 miles away from Bethlehem. It's going to take a couple days to traverse that distance to get from Bethlehem to the Valley of Elah. So David is quite a bit far away. Actually, I am not going to the right Bethlehem. I am wrong here on this map, because I got Bethlehem Galilee. It's Bethlehem Ephratah, which is going to be closer to here. So it's a lot closer. My mistake, I just saw that. It's a lot closer than 90 miles. That is a different Bethlehem. Make sure you're aware what Bethlehem you're talking about, because this is not the right Bethlehem. Not the right Bethlehem. So he's at Bethlehem Ephratah, which is close, just 5 miles south of Jerusalem, not very far away from the Valley of Elah. Let me scratch everything I said out before. So verse 18. So we have here, Jesse wants David to go and take some corn and some loaves to the camp with brethren. He wants him to go quickly to take to his brothers, take food to his brothers that are serving in Saul's army. So he has this request to him. Verse 18, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. So Jesse's made a gift to his sons, right? To give some things to his sons, the care packages to his 3 sons. But looks like he's also making a little care package to the captain, right? Their captain. Always nice to, grease the wheels, and make sure that the captain is taking care of their children. So he's made a little care package for the captain there. And so what's the purpose? What's Jesse's purpose for sending David? Yeah, check on the board. How do the brethren fare? Look how thy brethren fare. How are your brothers doing? I want to get some news, right? We're always looking for some news on how someone is doing, right? And Jesse knows that this conflict is taking place, and is very concerned about his sons, and got antsy enough to send out his youngest son to find out what's going on. What's another purpose? We have here, and take their pledge. Take their pledge. What's the pledge? Food? Well, it's like if you go to a store and you pay for something, you walk out with what? The goods and a receipt, right? You have a receipt of purchase. It's like the transaction took place. Give me some proof that the food actually made it to my sons. Whether it's discussion, that you talked with the brothers, that you bring back proof that everything is okay. Maybe bring back a letter from them. The sons write a letter to their father. Hey, Dad, everything's going okay. We've been sitting here for 40 days, and this giant has been taunting us for 40 straight days. Everything's good. Bye. Love, your sons. Who knows? Something of that nature, some sort of proof that everything is okay with the boys. Verse 19, now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. And so this is where, again, we find them. All the men of Israel, Saul, they're fighting in the valley of Elah. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight and shouted for the battle. Now we have, what does this indicate that David rose up early in the morning? With purpose. He woke up with purpose. He had some mission to do, right? He's going to make haste. This is very important. He didn't sleep in that day and kind of mosey on out of bed. This is something he needed to do, and he got a good night's sleep, got out at the crack of dawn, and headed toward the valley of Elah. And so what did he do with the sheep? Yeah, he kept it with the keeper. What does that indicate about David? He's responsible, right? He had this job here to take care of the sheep. He took his job very seriously. His dad made a request to leave the sheep and go get a message get the care packages to his brothers. And so he made sure that someone was there to watch the sheep. So he was very responsible in what he was doing. So that's very interesting. And I love the way what God puts in his word is important. It's just not frivolous information. We see the character of David already in being faithful with the little things, being faithful in keeping the sheep. And when he was asked to do something, he made sure the sheep were taken care of. He found somebody to watch the sheep while he was away. So he left the sheep with the keeper and took and went as Jesse had commanded. He obeyed his father, did as his father commanded. And he went to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight and shouted for the battle. So he got to the battlefield, got to where the foxholes and where the army was entrenched. So he took this task from his father very seriously, with urgency, and he got there and found out he was very responsible. Of course, this information can be very important a little bit later. Verse 21, for Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. That just means that they were both on both sides of the valley, and they're all lined up, ready to fight each other. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. Carriage, it must have had some sort of cart and ox or something of that nature to carry these care packages with him. He's not going to, if you're like me, you walk into Walmart, you walk right past the carts because you think I can walk out of Walmart with just stuff in my hands. I fail every time because I make the mistake, call Lori, says, I'm in Walmart, do you need anything else? And she starts listing all these things like, oh, I don't have a cart. So then I got to stand in line, trying to juggle all these things as I get through the line. That's my mistake. I should always go in with a cart. But here I have David. He took some sort of cart with him, and as he left it with a keeper as he ran further into the trenches with the army, and found his brothers. Verse 23, and as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion. Remember, we used this word champion is translated from a Hebrew word that means somebody who's in between. So this would mean Goliath is in between the two armies. And so this is translated into champion. There came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. So David is going in, gets to his brothers, and lo and behold, it came about that time that's been happening for the past 40 days, that Goliath comes out in the middle of the valley and shouts, send out a man that I may fight him. And David hears them. And we just had a test to show that David would have been able to hear him for himself. It wouldn't have been transcribed or translated from somebody else who had heard him say, oh, this is what he's saying every single time. No, David heard him firsthand what Goliath was saying. Verse 24, and all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. They didn't want to be, they ran from him. This is the attitude that Israel had toward Goliath. They didn't want to face him. They were afraid of this man. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that has come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. So the men in the army, they're chatting and they're talking about Goliath, and they hey, come on, why don't you go out there? Look at what the king has offered. Look at King Saul has offered if you defeat him. And maybe you can see that the army, the men in the armor are teasing each other and prodding each other. Come on, why don't you go out and do this? Look at what you'll get. You'll get riches from the king. You'll get the king's daughter. Woohoo! And your household will be free of taxes, a lifetime free of taxes. Anybody willing to take up that offer to go against Goliath? No taxes for the rest of your life, for your whole family. You get to marry the king's daughter, and you get riches if you defeat Goliath. Anybody interested? And so you can imagine these the men in the foxholes that are trying to prod each other and tease each other, and look what you can get. Well, David's amongst the men, and he hears this. Verse 26, and David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth the Philistine and taketh away the reproach of Israel? What did you just say? Can you repeat that again? Can you repeat what I'm hearing, this rumor that's kind of going around? Is this true? What can be done for anyone who kills Goliath and taketh away the reproach from Israel, this evil that's come on Israel, and what will be done to that man? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of God? All right, so what do you get, and who's the guy? Who's Goliath? Tell me a little bit more about this guy that just walked out into the middle of the field and shouted these things, defying Israel. But tell me about a little bit what King Saul has offered. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. Of course, repeated the thing and made it specifically toward him as they were talking to him about it. So David notes the significance that Goliath has on the reproach of Israel. Taketh away the reproach from Israel. Who's going to make sure that we have the victory? Who's going to get us out from underneath this, from the Philistines defying Israel? So he recognizes the significance of what Goliath is doing to Israel. And he also notes that the Philistines are defying God's armies. Notice here that he should defy the armies of the living God. Don't you love the way he's talking to the fellow soldiers, the brethren there, saying, this guy is coming against the armies of the living God. Why are we still standing here? Don't you know who the commander-in-chief is of our army? It's the living God, God Almighty. Look what Goliath is doing to us. So David clearly recognizes the spiritual aspect of what's going on here. It's not a physical battle. This is a spiritual warfare, and David recognizes what's going on. Verse 28, and you're going to love big brothers. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, why camest down thither? This would be like William and Jonathan are in the battle, and I tell Matthew, go to the battle and figure out how William and Jonathan are doing. Take them some of their favorite foods and see how they're doing. And Matthew says, who's that giant over there? I can take him. What is big brother going to say? Go home. Get out of here. You're just small. So Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the man, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, why camest down hither? What are you doing down here? You're not supposed to be here. This is not a place for a young child. And David's not young. And with whom, he was about 15 is what I think we're saying. And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? No, what is the brother telling David? How can you be irresponsible and leave the father's sheep? Well, was David irresponsible? No, he got a keeper of it. Keeper for the sheep. See how important this is? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, and thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. Whoa, the oldest child knows exactly what's going on in the youngest child's heart, doesn't he? What do you know about David already? Is the oldest child right? Is Eliab right about this? I know thy pride. Do you know, is David prideful? No. He's gonna have mistakes later on, but right now he's seems to be very pure of heart, right? And I know the naughtiness of thine heart. Brothers know more about their younger brothers than anybody else, do they? For thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. I know what you're doing here. You just want to see this spectacle. You want to see what's going on. You should be out here. This is not a place for a young man. You're not in the military. So he accused David of pride. However, David was humble. He was accused naughtiness of heart, yet David was a man after God's own heart. He accused David of coming down to watch the battle, yet David was obeying his father's orders. Verse 29, David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? David responds with, I'm only asking. What's the harm of asking what's going on here? What have I done? Don't you love that brothers always do that same thing? I did nothing. I did nothing. Not me. Not me. And mom and dad says, I just saw you do it. That doesn't happen in my household, does it? Why are you laughing? So David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? I'm just asking a question. Just asking a question. Just curious. Verse 30, and he turned from him toward another, and he spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. So what does David do? Well, he ignores his brother and goes talk to somebody just to get clarification that what he's hearing is actually true. Get some confidence in the statement. And so he hears the same thing again. And when the words were heard, which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and they sent for him. So what is going on now? I'm not keeping up with my slides, am I? So what is going on now, right? So he's down in the battlefield, and King Saul is up on the top. Remember the city with the walls we had looked at earlier? He's up there on top. He's in command central, and he is running this military exercise here. And so word comes from some other men about David. So when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. So there were some rumblings that made it all the way up to Saul, saying, hey, there's this young man out there who's curious about Goliath. He's interested in the reward. He's interested in fighting Goliath. And Saul said, let's talk to him. Let's talk to him. I finally have somebody who may want to stand up to him. And remember, Saul is probably the tallest of the Israelites there, right? And he's not fighting against Goliath. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fall because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. How does David respond to Saul? Oh, thank you, Desiree. How does David respond to Saul? David's brought in to see the king, and what does he say to Saul? Let no man's heart fail because of him. Don't be discouraged. Don't see Goliath as something that can't be beaten, or God's not on our side. Don't dismay, right? So David immediately gives encouragement. Don't you like somebody who, even in the face of a Goliath, a face of trouble and situation, that someone comes up with confidence and says, don't worry about this. This is not something to worry about. This is not something to get anxious about. This is what David tells the king. Of course, they have a relationship, right? They know each other. David is not unfamiliar with Saul, so he can speak plainly with the king. He's had earned that right with serving with him. And so what does David offer? Thy servant will go and fight this Philistine. David says, I'll go fight him. What does King Saul do? And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So what's the reasoning that Saul says, no, you're not going? You're a teenager. You can't do this. Well, what's the other reason? You don't know war, right? Goliath knows war. Goliath has been raised since birth to be a warrior. You have not. You're a shepherd. I know you. I wonder if there's also a little bit that Saul didn't want David to be hurt, right? Saul had, earlier we find that Saul had fallen in love with David, loved David, wanted to take care of him, and maybe there's a little bit of that going on as well. But he's using that you have no experience in war, we're not sending you out. Verse 34, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered out of his mouth. And when he rose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. So how did David defend himself? How was David's rebuttal? I know how to fight, yeah. They're big animals, all right? And he's protecting. He gives a story of a lion and a bear coming to take one of his father's sheep, gets a hold of took a lamb from the flock, and David goes after him and saves the lamb and kills the lion and the bear. It sounds like it's written like this is one occurrence instead of two different occurrences. Maybe it's two different occurrences. Maybe it's the same occurrence. But I caught him and smote him and slew him. So if you're talking about somebody you're talking about someone who's brave. I've gone against a lion and a bear. So that's not an issue. Verse 36, thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. Just like I've killed the lion and bear, David says, I'm going to kill Goliath. He will be dead. But who's the one actually going to be doing it? God, right? Seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. You can see David's relying on God through this whole time. Relying on God through this whole time. This is not going to be an issue. I have some experience, but it's all because of the Lord. And this guy is defying the armies of the living God. Verse 37, David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. David's confidence was in God the whole time. David's confidence was in God, and he confidently told Saul where his confidence lied. And how did Saul respond? Go. So Saul gives permission to go fight Goliath. Verse 38, and Saul armed David with armor, and he put his helmet of brass on upon his head, and he armed him with the coat of mail. Well, I'm not going to let David go out there unprepared and without armor. I'm going to give him my own personal armor. And so he gave him his helmet of brass and coat of mail. That would be like medieval times was a chain. What do you call the chain? Chain mail. This is probably more like scales. Looked more like scales back in the day. And so he's putting armor on him. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off. So Saul put them on him. David tried them out and realized this is not going to work. I've never used armor. It's uncomfortable. It's probably clearly it's too big for me. Just like when Matthew puts on some of my clothes, it's hanging off of him, too big for him. And so David realized, this is just not going to work. I have not proved him. I've never used them. This is not going to work. I understand with figure skaters should not put on a new pair of skates when they go out for a competition. Right? You don't want to put on something you haven't worn before. And so if you want to mess up in a competition, put on a brand new pair of skates. And so David here is like, this is not going to work for me. Thank you, King, for thinking about me, but if it would be okay, I want to go without them. I want to go without them. And our time is up, and so we're going to have to talk about the fight next week. Questions, comments? Don't we love how David's confidence is in the Lord the whole time? His confidence to King Saul, confidence to the men out in the field. His confidence is in the Lord. All right, let's pray. Dear Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your word. Lord, we thank you for the example of David. We thank you for all the preparation that you had for him as he took the next step to take this opportunity to fight against Goliath. Lord, may we be someone who looks to you for all things, Lord, and Lord, rely on you. Lord, may you be with us tonight as we go over these prayer requests. Lord, may you bless the rest of the week as we close out 2023, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.